Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Look, man, Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, look, they're traveling down the same path. They're not getting credit for the undisputed status, okay? Now, when you look at Devin Haney and Teofimo, yeah, there's some history there. People claiming, someone ducked them, and Haney claiming he was ducked by Teofimo claiming Haney's a nobody, You get all this back and forth, right? But at the end of the day, they really shouldn't be fighting each other. In my opinion, they should be confiding in each other. Because the same things that happened with Devin Haney and are happening even right now, where no one wants to give him the credit for being the real champion at 135 pounds, is the same thing that's happening with Teofimo. Okay? Now, Teofimo beat Josh Taylor this weekend. All right? And to me, that was a great thing, great accomplishment for Teofimo. I didn't think he would win. A lot of people didn't think he would win. But he did. But the same thing that happened to Devin Haney when he beat Kambosos. This is what we're dealing with. No credit. They're saying Josh Taylor was washed up, stayed at 140 too long. He was weight drained. Even Josh Taylor said, he just didn't have the legs in those championship rounds. He wasn't getting hurt. Lopez doesn't hit hard. He just didn't have enough left to push and fight hard like the Josh Taylor that we've seen fight Regis Prograis and fight other guys at 140 pounds, Ramirez. But when you look at Devin Haney, same situation, man. Nobody gave him credit for that Kambosos fight. Man, you got people not even want to give him credit for Lomachenko. They're saying that basically Lomachenko got robbed. So Devin Haney is out here floating around, 135 pounds, has all the belts. He got basically a 4-for-1 deal. And with Teofimo Lopez, he beat Josh Taylor, who had acquired all the belts at 140. So he was the undisputed. Nobody beat him. He chose to give up belts because they were basically just trying to strip him anyway. So no one wants to give Teofimo the credit. But what I'm saying is they're looking at 135 and saying Devin Haney is not the best 135-pound fighter, although he's undisputed. For Teofimo, they're looking at him and saying he's not the best at 140, although he beat the man who beat the man who beat the man. So neither one of them are getting the credit they deserve. And I think it's unfortunate. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney can fight. And there's just something that we need to put in perspective here. Once they get into the ring, they find a way to elevate. Now, Devin Haney, every time we've seen him get in a fight, he finds a way to elevate his game. He finds a way to raise his game to a point to where he wins the fight. And I'm going to say he wins it relatively easily. Okay? Now, true, Devin Haney. Now, when we take a look at this, right, let me pull something up for you because I want to make sure we're being fair here. Now, true, Devin Haney hasn't fought Tank Davis. He hasn't fought Pitbull Cruz. He hasn't fought Ryan Garcia, Shakur Stevenson, Frank Martin. All right? He hasn't fought Zepeda, Hughes, or Davis. But he did clip Lomachenko. He clipped Kambosos. Right? Got to give him some credit for those wins. But I do understand when people say, hey, what about Tank? What about Pitbull Cruz? Ryan Garcia is no longer there. He's at 140. But hey, what about Ryan Garcia, Shakur Stevenson, Frank Martin? Those are interesting fights. But we can't come and just try to take away and detract from Devin Haney's accomplishments. All right? Now, do I think he beats Tank? Do I think he beats those guys? I don't know. But I will say this, the same way we can talk about how hard of a puncher Tank is, how ferocious Pitbull Cruz is, how much of a master boxer Stevenson is, we can say a lot of great things about Devin Haney too. So I don't think it's fair to just come now and say Devin Haney is basically the weakest of the elite. Because he's elite, don't get me wrong, but they're still going to say of the elite, he's the weakest. I mean, everyone can have their opinion, but I don't necessarily agree with that. So that being said, when it comes to Devin Haney, I think he deserves more credit. because he is the man. Now, when you bubble up here and you look at the 140-pound division, all right, I may have a different opinion about some things. Same way, now the way with Devin Haney, I won't take away from his accomplishments. With Teofimo Lopez, I just got to be real. True, he did beat Josh Taylor. But Josh Taylor, in my opinion, he didn't look 100%. But at the end of the day, Lopez beat him. Got to give Lopez credit for that. Now, he didn't beat Regis Prograis. Would Teofimo Lopez beat Regis Prograis? I don't think so. I'm just being honest with you. I think Regis Prograis will tranquilize him, but we'll see. Regis Prograis has a fight coming up here this weekend. He got a fight coming up here real soon. We're going to see what Regis Prograis is looking like. Maybe Regis Prograis got old overnight. We don't know, but we're going to find out. Teofimo Lopez hasn't fought Ramirez. Subriel Matias, he hasn't fought him. Catterall, there's a lot of people on here for Teofimo Lopez to fight. But we're not sure what Lopez is going to do because right now he's upset because he feels like I only made $1 million to fight Josh Taylor. I've made Top Rank over $100 million. And for me to fight again, right, they're going to have to give me, this man wants a 9-figure contract, minimum $100 million. Now, he's emotional. His mind is all over the place, and now he's saying he's retired from boxing. Let me tell you something. Teofimo Lopez is going to fight. He's at a point in his career, he's not Mayweather. Mayweather retiring. Look, I'm retiring from the sport. I got money. I got my faculties. I got this, and I'm done. I gave the sport my all, blah, blah, blah. 2 years later, Mayweather stayed in the gym those whole 2 years and came back and tranquilized Marquez. Teofimo Lopez ain't going to take that kind of time off. You know why? Because his dad's not going to let him. He's got 3 years left on his contract with Top Rank. Now, I don't know what it says about him being allowed to retire or whatever, but if he retires and comes back, I'm sure he's got to fulfill the remainder of that contract. There could be some huge penalties if he chooses to retire. I mean, those contracts aren't written in a kind of way that is going to benefit the fighter. That's not how this works. It's a business. Basically, and I hate to say this, it's like Bob Arum, it's like he owns him for the time that Teofimo agreed to have them promote him. So he can't just come and decide he's not going to fight anymore. Okay? Now, if he chooses not to, they could. Remember, Bob Arum was a lawyer. It could be some lawsuits and some other things that's going to create even more problems for Teofimo. That's not what he needs. He doesn't need any more misery to be added to the compounding misery he's already dealing with in his personal life. He's upset with his professional life, and it can only get worse. It can be exacerbated depending on the decisions that he makes. But that being said, Teofimo Lopez, we look at the champions. Hey, he's the man. There should be some unification going on. Hey, fight Regis. Fight Rolly. Fight Matias, But I'm going to tell you this. Although I think Regis would beat him, I got to say the same thing. I think Teofimo Lopez manages to elevate his game, raise his profile when he gets into the ring. He didn't really look that great with his two opponents before Josh Taylor, but let's see. Let's see if it was Teofimo Lopez, going back to being Gordo and going back to being the boxer puncher, or if it was just that Josh Taylor was washed up, stars lined up for him. Let's see what happens. That's what interests me the most. But that being said, coming full circle, Devin Haney's not getting any credit. Teofimo's definitely not getting any credit. And at the end of the day, people are going to have an opinion, but look, they beat the man who beat the man. And if they happen to come across the 4-for-1 deal, it's not their fault. Okay? But when it comes to these two pointing fingers at each other and attacking each other, I think Haney and Teofimo have more in common than they do differences because they're in the same position. Nobody giving either one of them credit for the undisputed status. They're definitely not giving Teofimo credit because they're saying he's not undisputed. But he beat the man who beat the man. But, I mean, I don't know what to say. if you ask me my opinion, he's no goddamn undisputed. He don't have the titles, but he did beat, someone who had him. But that's not how boxing works. Okay, very simple. But he does have he's the lineal champion, so that matters, right? But to me, he's got more work to do at 140. He didn't just get to 140 and top of the division. You can't just claim that you're the man at this division when you didn't beat all these guys. Okay? So it doesn't work like that. And that's just being real. For Devin Haney, he's kind of plucked away a couple guys, but Devin Haney has some more work to do as well. But we're going to see what they end up doing. But for me, Haney and Teofimo traveling the same path. No credit for their undisputed status. No credit for their accomplishments. They're not seen as the best in their division, although they have all the accolades. Well, for Teofimo, he has that ring belt matters. He beat the man who beat the man, but they're both in situations where they still have more work to be done. And they're both young, and I hope Teofimo doesn't make a mistake and decide he wants to go and do some other things and end up like George Foreman, where now he's got this gym, he's been out there as a preacher and everything, and realize he's losing everything that he has, and now he has a return to fighting. And by then for Teofimo, look, it may not be a sweet story like George Foreman's. Could be somewhere he returns and gets his ass hurt, and that's what we don't want. That being said, y'all keep cool, leave your comments below. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Put a little respect on these guys' names, man. They putting some work in. They got more work to do, but they deserve some credit. I'm in the breeze.